In a free market economy, resources are distributed by voluntary transactions between individuals and/or organizations like the government or businesses. Firms produce goods and services that they exchange with consumers for money. If a firm offers to sell a product at a price above a consumer's maximum willingness to pay, or a consumer offers to buy it at a price below the firm's minimum selling price, the transaction will not occur. These transactions can be modeled at a large scale by a supply and demand graph. As price increases, suppliers have greater incentive to produce more output, increasing quantity supplied and causing the supply curve to be upward sloping. This is called the law of supply. Consumers, however, want to buy more goods at lower prices, increasing quantity demanded as price decreases, and thus causing the demand curve to be downward sloping. That's called the law of demand. The point at which the supply and demand curves meet is called the market equilibrium, and the market will naturally settle at this equilibrium price and quantity. Eventually, suppliers will adjust their prices to meet with consumer demand in order to avoid producing surplus unsold units and to maximize profits by selling as many units as needed. Changes in quantity supplied or demanded due to changes in price are simply represented as movement along the supply and demand curves respectively, but there are several factors that can cause the entire supply curve to shift. Changes in resource costs of the product, producer expectations about the future, number of sellers, advances in technology, or government actions. For example, the release of a new technology that makes cookies more efficiently would cause the cookie supply curve to shift to the right. Suppliers will have a lower minimum selling price, since it costs less to make each cookie, and they will be able to make more cookies for the same price. This would thus decrease equilibrium price and increase quantity. On the other hand, if hundreds of thousands of bakers went on strike, the cookie supply curve would shift to the left. Suppliers would be able to charge higher prices since there would be fewer operating bakers to compete with, and fewer cookies would be produced since there would be fewer cookie producers, increasing equilibrium price and decreasing quantity. Changes in consumer demand can also change the equilibrium price and quantity. These can be caused by changes in consumer income, preferences, expectations, the number of consumers, or changes in the prices of complementary or substitute goods. For example, if a famous celebrity endorsed cookies as God's new superfood, consumers would be willing to buy the same amount of cookies at a higher price due to a change in consumer preferences, shifting the demand curve to the right. This would increase both the equilibrium price and quantity. On the other hand, if brownies, a substitute for cookies, got cheaper, consumers would buy fewer cookies since the brownies would satisfy them for a cheaper price, shifting the cookie demand curve to the left. This would thus decrease both the equilibrium price and quantity. The supply and demand graph can thus represent what would happen to the market price and quantity in various scenarios.